please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Welcome back. Well, it's time to move to our next corporate conversation this morning. The Whirlpool stock has had a good 2017 so far with a gain of nearly 70%. That's 70. Now, the management recently met analysts where they indicated that they plan to double revenue by 2020. And they're also open to acquisitions. Kapil Agrawal, Vice President Marketing at Whirlpool, is now joining in. Mr. Agrawal, good to have you on the show. I'm actually going to start with the second point first. Nice. Acquisitions and inorganic growth. Do you have something on the radar right now, or is that a sort of a futuristic window that you've simply left open?
It is, let's say, a futuristic window if you look at it beyond a couple of quarters. But yes, in the next 3 years, we are seriously looking at some. And there is a team that constantly works along with the global team to evaluate certain options that we have in India. So as and when we are ready, I'm sure we'll come up with some good news.
Okay. Good morning, Mr. Agrawal. Well, is there anything specific that you are looking at in terms of acquisitions? Would it be products? Would it be manufacturing facilities?
It's actually primarily going to be a mix of both. The idea is that we believe that India is an important market, and we are kind of underpitched here in this market relative to the world, where we are either number 1 or number 2 in the world. In this country, we are, let's say, a number 2 or a number 3 position, depending on the segments that we play in, but are slowly gaining ground. There has been significant amount of effort that has gone behind the organic growth. It is time to expand. It will give us entry into wider product portfolio range, as well as build up some manufacturing. Okay. We already have our manufacturing, and we are planning to invest in manufacturing within our own plants to increase capacity and also innovations in the next 3 years.
Okay. Mr. Agrawal, good morning. Let's talk about some numbers in that case, because analysts believe that you can report over 20% EPS growth at a CAGR of 20% over the next 3 or 4 years. Is that feasible?
It's a function of what kind of demand we are able to generate and what kind of positions we are able to build in the marketplace. As of this moment, we are focused on the next couple of quarters because we believe that the next couple of quarters are going to be slightly tougher than what they have been in the last 2 quarters or so. Because we are seeing a commodity increase, and that would put pressure on our margins and also on pricing. So we have taken up pricing one round, and we believe that going into the next 2 quarters, when the commodity begins to soften, the demand will probably be better. But right now, as we speak, the urban demand is kind of slowing down a little bit, while the tier 2, tier 3 and down below continues to be strong on the back of the distribution that we have built. So it is going to be a mixed 2 quarters. What happens beyond that, we don't know really. But yes, the idea is that we need to grow, and we need to grow profitably.
What's the kind of capacity utilization?
Right now, in some plants, we are over 90. In a few plants, we are re-engineering to reach a better utilization. We would be in the range of 80% plus in most of our plants. And hence, investments in capacity we will see happening over the next 1.5 years.
You spoke about margins being under pressure because of raw material price increases. Will 10% be challenging?
Managing the 10% would be challenging, along with the growth expectations that we have set for ourselves. So to continuously grow at a double digit and manage the 10% is going to be the challenging, and that's the constant challenge that any company has.
Your revenue growth and EBITDA growth was very impressive in the second quarter. Is a revenue run rate of 35% possible and an EBITDA run rate of 25%?
Well, the revenue run rate may not be possible, because what we believe is that over let's say a 4-quarter period or a yearly outlook, we are looking at a strong double digit, and we continue to focus our energies on getting that. We are focused on the fact that we continuously should be growing at a double digit quarter on quarter and a year on year basis. That quarter 2 was an exception. We came back from GST, and that is why that pipeline fill, it was a combination of pipeline fill, expanded distribution and new product launches. So,
sure. Mr. Agarwal, of course, yeah, that was GST. Obviously, if you get that GST rate cut, that will make people happy. Maybe that spurs volumes a little bit.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
that will definitely spur up demand.
Oh, that will definitely cheer up people, because straight away you get a tax benefit from 28% to 18%. But I want to take up the pricing question again. You said that you have undertaken a price revision to mitigate this higher input cost. What's the kind of price increase that you've taken? This would have been in the third quarter, right?
We are in quarter 3, yes.
Yeah.
So we have, in the month of November, we took up pricing by about 2 to 3%. Depending on the category and the segment, and as to what to mitigate that impact.
All right, Mr. Agarwal, thanks a lot for your time today. That's Whirlpool, the stock doing well, up about 1% right now.
But have you noticed you have started hearing people speaking about capex?
That's good news, always good news, of course. Market may have factored a lot of that in already, though. But let's move on. Ashwini Gujral, Mitesh Thakkar and Sandeep Wagle with us now. Ashwini, in the zone once again, stuck in that range. Is there a trade on the Nifty or the Bank Nifty, or do you think the trade has come and gone? And of course, stock ideas.
See, the sense I'm getting is that, other than 4 banks, all the banks, private, PSU, etc., are going down. I think something is starting to get priced in terms of RBI policy or the crude meeting, etc. we have. So we have added to our Bank Nifty positions. I think the way Bank Nifty is going, we could hit the lower end of the range, and that also becomes possible because we've tried to hit the upper end and we have failed. Similarly, on the Nifty, also we are getting ready for the lower end of the range, which could be 10,300, 320. So the market is going to kill people on both sides. That seems to be the plan. So that way, get short, add short. For the moment, DLF, sell with a stop of 234, target of 220. Axis Bank is a sell with a stop of 560, target of 540. And Hexaware, you can probably buy with a stop of 320, target of 338.
A couple of these banks are looking weak. Axis, Yes Bank, on the lower side, even IndusInd Bank. So some of these private sector names not holding out too well this morning.
Killed on both sides. Your Soba alone would have helped people recover. It's doing exceptionally well at 9% higher.
Okay, let's ask Mitesh how he's reading this picture. So as we speak, Mitesh, even the Sensex is now in the red zone. What's the call and the stocks?
Yeah, I think it's just oscillating, in that minor range of 50 points for the Sensex, about 20 points for the Nifty, and we're just getting into red green, I think, for the time being. No directional bias over here. I still have a long call, as I said. I think unless until Nifty breaks 10,330, we'll trade more on the long side. So Jet Airways is a buy with a stop at 652 for targets of 700, and Bajaj Auto is a buy, a conditional buy about 3310 with a stop at 3275 for targets of 3390.
Okay, Sandeep Wagle is with us. Good morning, Sandeep. What are you trading?
Good morning, Latha. I would go with a buy in a Mindtree, stop loss of 549, target of 578, and a buy in a NCC, stop loss 119, target 129.
Okay, Sandeep, thanks a lot for those trading ideas. Ashwani, thoughts on PC Jeweler? That stock has moved to low point. Do you see more correction here? It's been a one-way rally, of course.
The PC Jeweler, maybe 390, 395, you'll find some support. But overall, the market seems to be weakening. When you have private banks, Maruti, even Tata Global, which is now coming off, that, gives you a corrective sense of the market. Generally, strong stocks, they tend to lead corrections on the downside. So if strong stocks start to come off, then there, is very little to hold up the market. So my sense is that everything that's run up could get into a bit of a correction from here.
Is there a correction in Titan coming?
Actually, it's gone up, I think, 50% in the last 2 months.
Yeah.
Again, at lower levels, it's a buy, but we could easily lose 100 odd rupees from the high.
Ashwani, just one more chart check on BEL. It's phenomenal the way that stock has moved, and even today as we speak, the stock's trading at high point.
Well, BEL hasn't really delivered, which means that it was at 170, now at 190. So these are, plays on the ETF, etc. Maybe some buying has started, but overall, even PSUs may find some amount of correction, but BEL, BEML remain in strong uptrends.
Okay, Nitesh, I have to ask both of you about HEG and Graphite India. Both stocks are up today. The management commentary was quite positive, bullish. The stock patterns, Mitesh?
So Latha, I think between the two, graphite is slightly better placed because the correction was very sideways, and I believe that once the stock starts getting past 635, 640, which was the recent highs, I think the stock should easily head towards 750. HEG, my sense is that it's hit the lower end of the support zone around 1600. So it might just do some kind of range between 1600 to about 1800, and then we'll eventually see an upward breakout again.
You would be bullish as well, positionally, on the graphite stocks, Ashwini?
See, I heard the management. I found one line interesting, that Chinese don't have the technology and they have not been able to develop it.
For 25 years.
I find that hard to believe. See, the way they have gone up, I think they have priced the moon into it. Now, whether they can go up another 10%, they can, but it will not be a multi-bagger, and people are likely to stampede out the moment something changes. I don't think this is Bitcoin, so be careful, because this is because of a temporary shutdown or disruption. I don't think this can be called structural.
I was just thinking the same thing. It's not just the Bitcoin that's gone up 10x. These graphite stocks from 200 at the start of the year to 2,000 at the peak.
I take Ashwini's point. I think to say that Chinese don't have the
technology for 25 years.
I find it really interesting. A couple of metal stocks and commodity stocks are doing well, so good time to go across to Manisha Gupta for a roundup of commodity market opening. Manisha, good morning.
Morning, Anuj. Thank you so much for that. We've started slightly on a weaker note when it comes to the energy as a commodity. The crude oil prices are off its 2-year highs ahead of the OPEC meeting tomorrow. And ahead of that, there already are statements from the interministerial OPEC members which suggest that they are looking at a 3 to 6 months of an extension in output cuts. And that's less than what the markets are factoring in. And that's the reason you have seen that decline. So 0.5% down in the markets here. And the global markets as well are trading 0.5% down for Brent as well as the NYMEX prices. Also, if you look at the expectation, the US weekly inventory numbers might show you a build-up in the US inventories. So that's the other added pressure point that the crude prices are tackling at this point. Some bit of a strength is what we have seen continuing for the gold and silver prices. But even at these levels, we haven't been able to cross above $1,300 per ounce in the global markets. The outlook for 2018 suggests that the first half of 2018 would be quite status quo when it comes to precious metals. But the second half is when you will see strength continuing. But even with that, it is those ranges between 1,200 on the lower side to 1,400 on the higher side is the kind of numbers that you are getting in from the global bankers. As of now, a bit of a strength reading into global cues is what you are seeing here. Some bit of opportunity buying is what you have seen in the base metal prices also. This sector as well for last 2 or 3 days had gone into a heavy profit taking. We did see most of these metal prices decline between 3 to 4%, but there has been buying in the New York session yesterday. So it's a second time zone when you look in Asia that you have seen some follow through buying come in, especially for the nickel prices, which have declined by nearly 10% in last 7 trading sessions. So some bit of a buying actually returning back in that. Trading strategies is what we have from Grow Value, and they have a buy call across sectors, especially in case of aluminum. They expect a buy with a target of 138 on the higher side. They have a buy continuing for the gold prices and silver as well. For silver, they're expecting the prices to gain up to 39,800. For crude as well, they have a buy with 3660 on the higher side as an intraday mark.
Okay, Manisha, thanks a lot for that. Time now to invite someone who has been extremely bullish on India. I think the most bullish voice, especially on the mid-cap side. Porinju Veliat now joins us. Porinju, good morning. Always good to talk to you. You've had 2 broad calls, right? Bullish on changing India, and of course, bullish on, as you describe them, chore companies, but which are now improving. So how much more do you think those 2 themes are to play out?
Good morning, Anuj. These themes have a long way to go. In fact, when I talk about, to make it normal people understand, the so-called chore companies turning around, That may be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, which is going on for last 2 years, at least 1 year, definitely. And it's going to play for at least next 2 years. Many companies will come out of that earlier style of management. And, they will go professional. And those who are not willing to go professional, they will be forced to go professional, take care of the minority shareholders, respect the minority shareholders, stop siphoning out money. Otherwise, they'll be caught. There is a fear of being caught first time in this country. Investors are underestimating the impact, the long-term impact of the unprecedented reforms and actions by the government in making that structural changes happening in this country. It is amazing. I am telling you, those who really understand. First of all, people should be unbiased politically to really understand this. And some people are having a closed mind, There are Modi hatred. There are various aspects happening in the economy, in the politics. I don't know. It's something amazing. Even knowledgeable people, they fail to realize this impact. See, India never had so much of visibility. If you are looking at the economic growth ahead, or if you are looking at the corporate earnings, which is more relevant for the investing community. I'm telling you, India never had such a earnings visibility going forward. So this is people who understand and appreciate the structural changes in the economy. There may be, I understand a lot of traders and, small time vendors, they are unhappy for the time being. They also will be happy at some point of time if they are not corrupt. See, corrupt people will never be happy going forward because they are caught now. They are, the people who steal money or means through the government system, misusing the subsidies. A lot of people were enjoying those kind of undeserving wealth. So that is getting stopped now. I was just listening to, one of the snippet by Prime Minister. He was talking about by linking the Aadhaar to the subsidy system. India is saving 57,000 crores per year as of now. So this is an amazing thing. This has been going on for the last so many decades. When India spent 100 rupees to help the poor people as a social responsibility to bring them up for inclusive growth, whatever, only 10 rupees used to reach the deserving people. The remaining 90% was going to the pockets of so many people in between. So this is something I think amazing. This can take our economy a long way. As we always talk, that structural migration of the economy from black to white and unorganized to organized, it's very easy to say. I'm telling you, people fail to understand the significance of this in the coming years. It is tremendous. It is it's first time in this country, unprecedented. I'm telling you, the companies, I used to talk, India is a mid-cap. You see, in the economy, in the global economy, as a $2.2 trillion economy or whatever. If you see the per capita income of the GDP, the per capita GDP, we are a very small cap. I would say micro cap. And if you look at the market cap of India, it's like a small cap again. It's a large small cap, I would say. So we have a long way to go. So, some people, experts and traders or gamblers, they may be looking for events like what Trump is talking. How the North Korea, they play with their nuclear gadgets, I would say nuclear toys, whatever. We have to ignore all these things. This is not important. This is only for the media to discuss, for the social thinkers to comment on that. Okay. I'm just what India talks, what India is trying to do, what Indian leader is trying to do. So that is important and relevant for stock picking in India.
Absolutely, Purinjit. Take your point that you have to have a sharp eye and you have to sort of look for those turnaround stories. I want to take up a specific segment with you because it's a complex one. Companies that are into some form of either specialty chemicals or a specialty mineral product, which the cycle is turning, whether it's a couple of such plays as well. I mean, you have a stock called Khaitan Chemicals, not very sure about exactly which chemical it is. You also have Ashapura Mine Chem. A lot of these specialty plays have had a dream run, 400% to 1,000% on some stocks. Are you looking at selling out or booking profit at all? Or are you looking at any fresh ideas in this very niche area?
See, some of the stocks in that segment has really gone up, if you see the last 1-2 years, and especially in the last few months like graphite and all. I don't know. That's too much of a bull run. And this is basically, that kind of high prices or the price increase in the commodity or in that product may not sustain for long. So again, there will be more supply and but I don't know. I don't feel comfortable going into those stocks which have already gone up by 5 and 10 times. So Ashapura is true that I recently picked, I think some 5-6% in portfolio management. It's not. It has got some challenges. When you look at the balance sheet, you may see some of the very large liabilities, contingent liabilities, or payable to insurance company. I mean, to the bank, the shipping companies. When they are one of the very large players in bentonite globally. It's a very important product, and now they have got a very strong R&D. They're developing new products and value-added products, and the bleaching clay kind of very important products, very niche products. So, and the company is very large, around 1,200 crores revenue, and they have been going through some challenging times because of the ban on bauxite exports earlier. So that was an accident happened to the company. But I think that they have already paid by a very low market cap. I'm not recommending this stock. The stock has really shot up after I bought in the last couple of weeks. So investors should not just chase ideas after it has doubled in a short period. Please refrain from buying such already grown up stocks. I think that's a big problem. We have so much of variety of stocks in this country. So many of growing and growth potential areas, different segments, sub-segments, infrastructure. You take anything sells in India. Because the magic figure, I always talk about the magic figure, the 1,300 million people, those who understand the significance of this number while doing business in this country, I'm telling you, they will create huge wealth. And the second aspect investors have to understand is the impact of the unprecedented reform, as I told earlier, that reforms and actions by the government. It is unprecedented because it never happened in the history. Now, I think India is moving towards equal opportunity for every Indian. That's important. Till now, the corrupt people, bad guys, criminals had an advantage in this country. That is being removed now. That's the biggest ever social and economic reform for this country. And India will go a long way with that. We will not remain as a small cap as an economy. We will go to a mid cap and a large cap going forward. So that is the big picture. And if you, as I told earlier, if you are politically unbiased, try to understand the impact of these reforms and actions by the government. You cannot be bearish on any day in this country.
Mm-hmm. No, I think.
I think we talked about few stocks. I want to give very clear disclosure. Ashapura Mining, I think we are holding around 6% of the company. We bought it as a part of our long-term investment.
Okay. No, I take your point entirely on the linking of Aadhaar to bank accounts and to subsidies. All that is a big, is game-changing, and even PAN cards for that matter. That's perhaps definitely going to bring more people and more money into the tax net, not discounting any of that. I just want to make one number right. The government said 50,000 crores over 2 years for FY15 and FY16. Together, it's 50,000 crore. But a World Bank report says that we can save 70,000 crores annually if all payments are digitized. Those were the two numbers that was mentioned in the World Bank report. But that's just to tell you what the data was. I wanted to come to another stock, and that is very much a population play, Tata Coffee. I believe that you have investments in that, and you're closer home both to coffee growers and coffee drinkers. The last number which Tata Coffee reported showed a fall in revenues. How long-term a bet is it? Why do you like that stock?
Latha, I appreciate your question. Either you are talking about the World Bank data and all, but I'm telling you, Indians need not give so much importance to the World Bank data, Standard and Poor's. I'm telling this
this was data given by Indian government to the World Bank. I was only quoting that.
We are the best people. You and me are the best people to understand India and take a view on our economy, our future. I'm telling you, nobody else is better than Latha and Poranju Veliyat and people like Anuj, all of us, all Indians who are in that category, who are into investing or understanding, analyzing the markets, the corporate world, the numbers. Okay, so that way I normally ignore all this, the fancy big names globally if they talk something about India. And a lot of them are misled also, I'm telling you, by Indian journalists. So it's a different story. And now a question about Tata Coffee and
Yes.
Tata Global Beverages and Tata Coffee has been my important picks in the last year. And we are still holding. See, I may sell also sometime shares, so please don't be under the impression that I'm telling I'm holding. That means I will never sell it or I'm not selling it today. So these are now Tata Global Beverages, the leader in this country. Latha ma'am, if you remember, I was discussing with you the leaders in India, but they are mid caps. See how many stocks have shot up just take last 1 year. Transport Corporation of India, Tata Global Beverages, including Tata Coffee, DCM Shriram. I used to talk about Godrej Properties, Oberoi's and Shobha. These kind of very large businesses, but they are in mid cap as a stock. Even though the company and the business, what they are doing is very large in the so-called 1,300 million people country. So people, should have that bigger picture about these businesses going forward, these companies going forward. The consumption story, whatever you make in India itself.
No, you spoke about inflection point here, Porinju. You spoke about inflection point here. Has that inflection point story at least played out on Tata Global? Yeah, because just like we discussed Reliance last year, I'm normally averse to the very large companies. There are hundreds of analysts after those companies. So Reliance, I'm so proud that I found it at around 850 rupees at the inflection point. First time I talked in media. And even we bought some in portfolio management that time. We are not holding it today. So Reliance Industries kind of, even every company, India's structure is like that. And some companies come into the prominence and in the fancy of investing community or traders. It goes up and it goes to a price which is going to discounting the next 5 years, 5 years fundamentals. That is why such companies stay stagnant for 5-10 years sometimes. Then they come. Then that, that suppressed valuations comes out. So same thing happened to Tata Global Beverages in the last 1 year. In fact, Tata Global Beverages doubled in the last 5 months. Just look at future group companies. I am very proud. I have been very, very bullish. Looking at it's a common sense approach. I didn't have any insider story or anything like that. I depend on the publicly available information, especially in the large companies. It makes all the sense. And today, all the companies are reporting everything in public. Till yesterday, whatever happened in the company, it is informed to NSE and BSE.
Yes.
Every can access that. It's the beautiful systems today. So the future group companies, they have given around 200% return in this 2017.
Sure.
No.
Absolutely, Porenju, completely take your point. Future group companies, between 200% to 400%. It's been a dream run. We're in conversation with Porenju Veliath. Porenju, looking at your tweets, the one interesting one that caught the eye was on the logistics sector. You said it's still low market cap. There's a long way to go. Do you like logistics? What else do you like? What excites you right now in the market?
Yeah, this is true. I have recently made a statement like that, but this is true for various other industries segments in the country. Again, I am coming back to that magic figure, 1,300 million people. This is so much relevant for many segments when we talk about logistics. Consumption, of course, everybody knows about that. Even the infrastructure, what we are building up or what the country is envisaging, it's too small a market cap. If you take all the infrastructure companies in India, it is coming to a few $1 billion. Do you think, looking at the next 5 to 10 years, what India is planning to do on the infrastructure space, this is too small. Then this is going to be 5 to 10 times. Maybe there are a lot of new entrants also will come. I'm not telling the existing infrastructure companies will go 10 times. In the total market cap, including the new comings, the IPOs, or some of the small companies can go really big. That is where you make really big money, the multi-baggers. So that is how it's going to take place. So I think the media there are many challenging pockets. It's not very easy to pick stocks. So one of the stock I recently found, was UFO, which we have been buying in portfolio management for some time. We are holding the stock. UFO movies, that looks very interesting. Recently they merged the companies, that Cube, the other business, which is unlisted business, and it's going to have something like nearly 1,000 crores turnover. And the market cap is UFO, the same, something like one-time revenue. It's a very niche business with high margins and potential to improve further. I feel this is a very good stock. Again, investors need not go and buy it today or, so it's this kind of stocks. Keep a watch. There are a lot of them. Without looking at the segments in particular, look at the stock wise. There are a lot of companies. When we say pharmaceutical, many companies might have gone down. But the stock, I remember, Biocon and Jubilant Life, which we mentioned, which we discussed in CNBC, they doubled in the last 1 year. So a lot of such things happening. So it is not investors need not really be much bothered about this, which industry one should pick stock. You should pick stock in the Indian economy. That is the best way to look at that. And look at the big picture. And there is really long way to go. Look at recently what happened. We all are discussing about IBC, the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Court. How many people understand the impact of that? It's very easy to criticize. See the real estate regulations. Now, sab chor ko pakda jata hai.
Yeah.
So people who are manipulating the system, who are corrupt and who collude with corrupt pollutions and the corporates, they make money at the expense of the country and the public, the people in India. They are being caught. And the regulations are coming, plugging the loopholes. Yeah. Please understand. This is very, very important. We should appreciate this. Media is not very, in general I'm talking, media is very shy of projecting these big things happening in the country because they have some other problem.